Alright, hello people, I'm the Dude, and these are my favorite builds for every class in Diablo 2. Keep the following in mind. Alright, these last two characters, the Lord of Destruction and Expansion characters, I never really liked either one of them much. I did play Assassin for a while. I've always hated Druid. I'm going to work them into one video and just get them done. I don't have a lot to say about them. They're not my favorite classes. This one right here is a Trap Sin. It's just a standard Trap Sin. It's got tons of plus lightning tree, lightning sentry, stuff like that. You run around, pop burst of speed, and just drop traps all over the place. I'll go into the stats in a minute after I rape Ball and his minions. It's not very complicated. I've always hated martial arts, the martial arts tree, the way they did it. Same for the Druid's werewolf, werebear tree. Never liked either one of them. And all that really leaves is elemental for Druid, which I also hate for different reasons, and traps for assassin. Now, I don't mind traps, they're just kind of boring. They're effective, they're extremely effective, especially with conviction aura. Get what is it called? Frozen something, whatever the fucking hell that aura is called, frozen shock, whatever the fuck it is. So when your merc gets on them, he slows them down and just stack traps on them and they're fucked. As you can see, really effective, really boring. I used to run a mix of the lightning and fire traps and a couple other things before synergies hit. Once synergies hit, you basically have to max the shit out of fucking lightning sentry, which isn't as entertaining, but oh well. Did they kill the damn merc? Fucking hell. Just to irritate me, no other reason. One thing you should know about Trapsin, if you don't already know, faster cast does not work for Trapsin. When you want to lay traps faster, you need attack speed. Don't ask me why they set it up that way, but that's the way it works. So get IAS in place of faster cast on Assassin. I'm gonna go ahead and get the merc back up for the hell of it. Oh, fucking shut the hell up, man. Just get in there so I can kick your ass. Come on. Yeah, your primary skills are Lightning Sentry and Lightning Sentry. That's pretty much it. I mean, you'll use Burst of Speed for the buff, but that's it. That's the extent of the abilities for Trapsin. Get on him so he has the damn conviction aura. Thank you. Oh, it's not even up. It's glitched. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. Now his health's dropping. You can take him out without it, but it's just slow as fuck. Oh, come on. They killed the damn merc again. Fucking die. There we go. Yeah, a couple of fucking set items. Don't really care. I'm just gonna go ahead and show off the items, and then we'll be done with Sin. Okay, I've got a Harlequin's Crest, because this build is all about plus skills. And I've got an IAS all resist jewel in there, because IAS, like I said, helps you cast your traps faster. Plus the base life and mana are nice, damage reduction's nice. Mar for plus skills and all resists. I've got a really unique choice for my chest plate, because it has 45% IAS and plus 2 to skills, and the faster hit recovery and the cold resist. Mainly it's for that massive amount of IAS, so you can just spam the shit out of traps. It just lets you chain gun traps out there, as you saw in the gameplay. For weapons, you want to get magics with as much plus 2 Death Sentry, Lightning Sentry, Charge Bolt Sentry, and at least 2 to Assassin skills. And then I've got 2 IAS all resist jewels in each one. So again, it just stacking the crap out of IAS lets you chain gun your traps out there. And the plus to skills, obviously, that's what makes this build work. Blood Fist for IAS, faster hit recovery. Stone of Jordan for plus to skills and increased maximum mana. Arachnid for plus to skills. The faster cast, you can ignore it. It doesn't help this build. Inferno Stride, another unique pick. The reason I've got this one is mainly for the maximum fire resist. There isn't much I need for this build. I've already got the resist maxed. And you can't get plus skills or IAS on boots. So this is just kind of a extra type item that I threw in there for fluff. You could swap this out for whatever the fuck you feel like. I've got the same charms. The Assassin Torch, Annihilus Geeds, and then 1 to all skills, Grand Charms. And then on the Merc, okay, he's dead again. His base aura is the Frozen aura, and he's getting Conviction from Infinity. He's got an Endariel's Visage, which probably isn't the best idea. I should probably have the Vamp Gaze on him, and this Vamp Gaze should have the 40% ED, 15% IAS jewel. I don't know why it doesn't have it in it. I forgot to put it in it. But yeah, I should probably have the Vamp Gaze on him, just so he'll be tankier. Because that's his main purpose in this build. It's not to do damage, it's to tank for the traps in and just keep enemies occupied. The same Lacquered Plate Fortitude for the enhanced damage, the enhanced defense. Also the plus to base life, the maximum line resist, all resists, all good stuff. Infinity for the Conviction aura, and also it turns that Colossus Volge into a damaging machine. And the faster run walk, and the minus lightning resist to work with the chain lightning and the crushing blow, etc., etc. For the switch, I've got Call to Arms. Basically, it's just for the war cries. Couldn't put Spirit into the build because I don't have enough strength. I kept my strength low for other stats, which is fine. It's not that big a deal. For the stats, attack damage and attack rating are obviously crap, but it doesn't matter. Defense is horrible, but again, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna have block rate to cover your physical defense, and you just want to stay away from enemies as much as humanly possible. Life total is pretty good. You're gonna have the switch to Call to Arms and Spirit as well to increase those. Mana is low. You're gonna chug potions quite a bit because you don't have the mana leech because you're not physically attacking. Resists are maxed. Fire resist is increased because of Inferno Stride. Stats will be in the video info. For skill points, basically you want to focus on these 4 right here. Just get as many points in them as you can. Martial Arts is ignored. Shadow Discipline is 1 point in Shadow Master and 1 point in Fade and Burst of Speed. Other than that, the rest of this is just garbage. Oh yeah, and 1 point in Weapon Block. You can put more points into these if you want to. It's up to you. Mainly you want to focus on these 4 though. It's real simple. So that's Traps in a nutshell. Very simple build. Okay, so Fire Spec Druid. Fire Spec Druid is pretty much the only Druid build that I feel is viable. You can do Werewolf Werebear build and it'll work. It'll function. But it's basically just a weak shit version of a barbarian. There's no point. I mean, Fury is almost exactly the same as, and that's the main werewolf attack, is almost exactly the same as the barbarian's version. The stats that the wereforms add are almost exactly the same as the barbarian's passive tree, except barbarian passive tree is just infinitely better. And barbarian has more skills to use to attack. And because wereforms lock you out of your elemental tree, there's not much variety to make it viable versus a barbarian, period. It's just fluff. The summoning tree, the whole left and right side of the summoning tree are filled with minions that die instantaneously if they get hit with anything, so they're more or less garbage. The bear is good for soaking up damage. I mean, he's only 1 bear, so, and his damage isn't high, so basically his only real purpose is to get in their face and get in the way, but he fills that function decently well. All it really leaves is the elemental tree. I like the fire side of it. I've tried to mix them using fire and cold, but you just can't get the damage high enough for it to be viable. So I like to stick with the fire tree and stack minus enemy fire resist on my gear. It works decently well until you hit an enemy with really high fire resist, and then you won't be able to break the immunity, even with a fucking conviction aura, which is painful. But that's just the way it is. So basically, I play Fire Spec Druid out of lack of options. There's just nothing better for Druid to be. This is the best build there is, in my opinion. And the only build that actually works fairly well. What you want to do is keep Armageddon up. That's your primary skill. Your secondary damages are Fissure and Volcano. Just spam them in between getting Armageddon back up. Other than that, just let your Merc Conviction Aura them and kick the crap out of them. Like I said before, some fire immunes, they'll have so much fire resist that even with Conviction and your minus enemy fire resist on gear, you won't be able to break their immunity. So you'll be stuck basically sitting around trying to use your 1 point in Hurricane, the 1 point in this to do damage, along with your Merc. That'll be your only way to damage them, because you won't be able to break their fire immunity. Which is fucking annoying. That'd be the biggest weakness of this build. And the Druid elemental tree in general. I'll show a little bit more gameplay, then I'll skip to Diablo. It's kind of hard to see the Fissure, but it's constantly going below them. I'm spamming it. And the Volcano is constantly going as well, with Armageddon pelting them in the head. Basically, Druid and Assassin are, in my opinion, just tacked on. They weren't balanced out well. They weren't fleshed out well as far as classes. I mean, they basically took chunks out of the primary 5 classes, added them into Assassin and Druid, and didn't make a cohesive class out of it. I mean, traps are basically Hydras. The whole fucking Were form tree is basically a weak barbarian. The elemental tree is basically a shitty fucking sorceress. None of the elemental tree spells are anywhere near sorceress spells as far as utility. The summoning tree is a crappy version of a mix of paladin auras, necro spells, and the stupid vines that die instantly. The martial arts tree is probably the most unique of the bunch, but I hate the way you have to build up orbs and cast different levels based on how many orbs you have. Plus, it'll never have ridiculous amounts of damage. So, Assassin's probably the better of the two. She has a really solid passive tree, which makes up for her lack of uniqueness. And like I said, her trap tree works. It's boring, but it works. And a martial arts tree is interesting at the very least in concept. Anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna skip on to Diablo and blow him up. Okay, so it's Fire Spec versus Diablo time. Aside from Diablo obviously being in a predominantly fire level and using predominantly fire attacks, his fire resist really isn't that great. Did I not hit one of the damn switches? I hit that one. What the fuck? Must have missed one of these. No. Oh, I missed these guys. My bad. That was brilliant of me. Well, you'll get to see me fiddle with some fucking fire immunes all day long. Basically, just keep Armageddon up, keep them in range of Conviction, spam Volcano and Fissure in between Armageddon. That's pretty much it. Just wait. Wait them out. Mainly the Merc's gonna have to do most of the work, because these appear to be... They're taking a little bit of damage from my attacks, but not much. We're talking about very small amounts of damage. They're just barely broken as far as fire immunity goes. There we go. Okay, now we get to fight Diablo. He'll go down pretty quick. As I was saying before, he just doesn't have much fire resist. For some reason. You'd think he'd have ridiculous fire resist, but he doesn't. Go ahead and get the oak back up. It'll probably die instantly, but whatever. Yeah, as you can see, fire annihilates Diablo. Goodbye. Ah, unique amulet. Probably the best find out of all these build videos. Let's see, Sarakin's Chance Amulet. No, it's got all resists. That's something, I guess. Okay, Fire Spec Druid build info. Attack damage is horrible, but it doesn't really matter. Attack rating is horrible, again, it doesn't matter. Defense is horrible, but you gotta get block rate to make up for it. Life is horrible. You're pretty much gonna have to choose between block rate or life in this build. Either pump dex or pump vitality, it's up to you. I'd rather have block rate in concert with pretty good resists than vitality. That's just me. Mana is horrible, won't be a problem though. Your fire resist and lightning resist are increased from equipment. All three of these are relatively good. Your poison resist is going to be horrible. You're just going to have to deal with it or find a way to work in poison resist. For stats, I've got enough strength to wear equipment. Damn near everything else pumped into dexterity. The other two are from gear. The stats for vitality and energy are from gear. Equipment. I've got a Raven Lore for the minus enemy fire resist mainly, and the plus to skills is obviously nice. All resistance is nice. It's got a faster recovery all resist jewel in it. Mara's for the plus to skills and all resist. Enigma for the all skills. The teleport plus strength for equipment. Damage reduced is nice, etc. Hand of Justice for the minus enemy fire resist. Everything else on there is more or less useless. The Phoenix for the minus enemy fire resist. The Redemption Aura actually helps. When you're killing things, you won't have to spam as many health potions because you have no other way to gain health. The Redemption Aura will give you health and mana back every time you kill something, so it's kind of nice. The plus enemy fire resist, plus the max fire resist is nice. These three items are mainly there for the minus enemy fire resist in conjunction with your Merc's Conviction Aura. That's how you break some fire immunes. Some you just won't be able to break. Mage Fist for faster cast and regenerate mana. Stone of Jordan for +1 to skills and increase maximum mana. Arachnids for faster cast and +1 to skills. And this is the same rare I have on my Paladin. It's a good rare that has all resistances, half freeze duration, and some run walk. It's missing poison resist sadly, but you know, whatever, can't win them all. I've got the same charms that I have on everyone. I have the Druid Torch, Annihilus Geeds, and then +1 to skills grand charms. I've got a Raven Frost for the switch in case I don't feel like getting frozen. Some alternate equipment. If you don't want to focus on minus enemy fire resist, which I highly suggest you do for fire immunes, you can get a combination of Spirit and Heart of the Oak will add a lot more plus to skills, so your damage total will be higher, ignoring resists, but there'll be even more enemy fire or immune guys that you just won't be able to damage, which is a pain in the ass. But if you want to, you can go this route. These are just some other helms, you can look at them. They've got different jewels. These Crown of the Ages are more defensive, whereas the Raven Lore is more offensive with the minus enemy fire resist. You could use a Fortitude, and you could use a Chains of Honor to switch out some of these helmets, and to go with this set right here. Just swap them around to get your resist where you want. The Andariel is for the Merc, who is right now using a Vamp Gaze. You could switch in an Andariel. The Merc's purpose in this build isn't to do damage, it's to get in the way, so you're not the one getting hit. So I like to have the Vamp Gaze for the better defensive stats. Same Lacquered Plate Fortitude I have on all my Mercs. Enhanced damage, enhanced defense, base life, max lightning resist, all good. Infinity Edge that I have on at least 3 of my other builds. It gives you Conviction Aura. You need the Conviction Aura to break immunities, or to help break immunities. And it has tons of damage, faster run walk, a crushing blow, flat vitality, all good stuff. So that's the gear. For the skills, it's very simple. You want to get 1 point in these until you get down to Grizzly Bear, because he's a decent meat shield. I get 1 point in Oak Sage, but this whole tree and this whole tree right here are full of minions that die instantaneously from anything at all. A stiff breeze will take them out. So this Oak Sage won't last very long. None of these will. I tend to skip them all and only use Oak Sage when I really need extra health and hope that it lasts, which it never does. Shapeshifting is completely ignored. And out of the elemental tree, these are all 1-pointers to unlock Armageddon, and this whole side of the tree has 20 points. Firestorm, Molten Boulder, Fissure, Volcano, and Armageddon all have 20 in them. You're going to want to keep Armageddon up. Volcano and Fissure you're going to want to spam. And Molten Boulder is another choice. It has lower damage, but it has a lower cooldown as well. Because of cooldowns, you can get Volcano up and then spam between Fissure and Molten Boulder if you choose. I tend to just use these three. So that's pretty much it for Druid. Fire Spec Druid. See you guys next time. Lightning Sentry. Which isn't as entertaining, but oh well. Did they kill the damn Merc? Fucking hell. Just to irritate me, no other reason. What is it called? Frozen something, whatever the fucking hell that ore is called. Frozen Shock, whatever the fuck it is. So when your Merc gets on them, he slows them down and just stack traps on them and they're fucked. As you can see, really effective, really boring. I used to run a mix of the lightning and fire traps and a couple other things before synergies hit. Once synergies hit, you basically have to max the shit out of fucking... I'm gonna work them into one video and just get them done. I don't have a lot to say about them. They're not my favorite classes. This one right here is a Trap Sin. It's just a standard Trap Sin. It's got tons of plus lightning tree, lightning sentry, stuff like that. You run around, pop burst of speed, and just drop traps all over the place. I'll go into the stats in a minute after I rape Ball and his minions. It's not very complicated. I've always hated martial arts, the martial arts tree, the way they did it. Same for the Druids, Werewolf, Werebear tree. Never liked either one of them. And all that really leaves is Elemental for Druid, which I also hate for different reasons, and Traps for Assassin. Now, I don't mind Traps, they're just kind of boring. They're effective, they're extremely effective, especially with Conviction Aura. Get Alright, hello people, I'm the Dude, and these are my favorite builds for every class in Diablo 2. Keep the following in mind. Alright, these last two characters, the Lord of Destruction and Expansion characters, I never really liked either one of them much. I did play Assassin for a while. I've always hated Druid.